When I was 24 years old, I almost got frostbite and died on top of a mountain. And this mountain was located somewhere within Kananaskis, I think. And this was, I think it was April of 2022. So just like a couple years after COVID had started. It was getting nice outside. It was starting to get warm. And my cousin and I decided we're going to start hiking this year. We originally had a plan of doing 30 different hikes for that entire year, but obviously later on that plan fell through and we ended up only doing, I think, like 13 or 14 hikes, mountains specifically. And which was kind of a bummer because we wanted to do more hikes, but both of us just kind of got busy near the end of the summer. But this hike was one of our first mountains that we hiked during that year. And so, yeah, it was end of April, just in the beginning of spring, everything was melting. All the snow was melting and leaves were coming out of the trees. And we decided to plan to hike this mountain called Wasuch Peak. And now this mountain is about an hour and 15 minutes away from Calgary, Alberta. So not too far away, nothing too crazy. So yeah, I picked up my cousin at around I think 7:30 a.m. and we drove all the way to Wasuch Peak. Both of us are super excited. We're just chatting in the car, just talking about how awesome it's gonna be. Because we had hiked before in the past as well, like since 2019, and every time we go on hikes, it's so fun. We just like feel so much bliss, and we're so happy. Um, so yeah, so we're super excited. We park the car, get out, and we put on our backpacks, get our two hiking sticks. And I think at this point there was still some snow and ice at the top of the mountain. So we decided to bring our crampons, which are basically like these spikes that you put underneath your shoes, just so they can have better grip on the ice. Um, so we put those on. Sorry, we didn't put them on. We just packed them in our bags because we needed them when I think we were like around halfway up. So we did that. You know, started hiking, just started walking, and yeah, I think it was like flat for the first half kilometer, but then right away we could tell that this hike was not going to be easy because after that first half a kilometer, it was all inclined from there. And just to give you a bit of a perspective, that hike was a total of I think 6.5 kilometers. So about whatever it is, like 3.25 kilometers there and 3.25 back, and the elevation gain I believe was 700 meters. So for that high of an elevation gain of around 700 meters, the fact that the hike was only 6.5 kilometers long in total is pretty crazy because that means there's gonna be areas during that hike where the elevation is so high that like you're basically rock climbing. Um, so it was pretty scary at some points, when we were on the incline, and um, it was pretty hard on our knees and our calves because was our first hike for the year. So we kept going, we kept climbing the mountain, and we got to about 2 kilometers, and that's when the ice started to appear. And so we took out our crampons out of our backpacks, put them on the bottom of our shoes, and then began to hike up the mountain by walking on the ice. And the crampons, like without the crampons, there's no way that we would have done this hike because, I mean, if we didn't have the crampons, the hike would have been like a water slide. If you we were literally just like slipped down the entire mountain if we didn't have these crampons. So they kind of saved our lives. They saved our lives in that moment, and they would have saved our lives. Sorry, they did save our lives at the end, at the top of the hike, which I'm kind of foreshadowing what's about to happen at the top. But yeah, that's that. So from there, it was about another, I think, kilometer ish to the very top. And at this point, obviously there was ice on the ground, but the sky was clean. I mean, it was blue skies, barely any clouds, and we didn't think there would be any issues coming up, in the future. We thought we would just go to the very top of the mountain and then, take some pictures, take some videos, and then go all the way back down like how we came up. And boy, were we 100% wrong about that because little did I know. And by the way, I don't know why we didn't check the forecast before we started this mountain, but we should have done that because if we did, we would have avoided this huge mistake that literally could have killed us. Thank God it didn't. So what happened is when we were about 100 meters away from the top, so 100 meters elevation gain is specifically what I mean. So we were about 100 meters elevation gain away from the top, and about, I think, 400 meters distance wise. That's when a bunch of clouds started to come in. And at first, it was like a little bit of snow. Actually, it was a little bit of rain in the beginning. And then we could see like a little flakes of snow coming in. And we didn't think it was a big deal. We thought the snow would kind of just pass along and, go to a different mountain. But that didn't happen. The snow it turned from little flakes here and there to a full on blizzard all of a sudden. And it got to the point where my cousin was right beside me. And at one point, I think he was like maybe 5 or 6 meters in front of me, and I could barely even see him. And so I yelled out to him, like, slow down, we got to stay together. And a good thing to have done at this point would have been to just turn around, call it a day, and that's it. Don't risk anything and just turn around and go back down the mountain. But like I said in the beginning of the video, because my cousin and I had a plan to do 30 mountains, like to get to the top of 30 different peaks for that year, we decided that if we didn't go to the top of the mountain, like if we didn't reach the peak of the mountain, then we basically didn't hike the mountain at all. So it would have been a complete waste of a hike. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid, but during that time when I was 24 and he was 21, we just had it in the back of our minds that we have to get to the top no matter what. Because when we get to the top, to us it feels like, okay, now I've completed this mountain. Like now I've actually hiked this mountain, and I can say that I've actually hiked this mountain. Because if you don't make it to the top, then it's like, did we actually hike the mountain? So that was our logic. So anyways, from there, we just kept pushing on. And after 400 meters, we got to the very top. And at this point, it was really bad. Like I couldn't see anything about 3 or 2 meters in front of me. And at this point, we decided to get I brought my professional camera with me. It was a Canon M50, I think, Canon M50. And I took it out. I told my cousin to take a picture of me, which I'll put right here in the video. I'll blur my face just because I don't want to. I'm not really comfortable showing my face on my YouTube channel yet. So I'll show you guys that video. And based on the photo, based on the photo, you guys can clearly see how bad the snow is and how big of a blizzard it actually was. And then so my cousin took that picture of me that you guys are seeing right now, and then I took a picture of him. And after that, it was really bad. Like the spot that I was at where I took this picture, for me to get back to the point where we were able to go back down, I basically had to cross this ridge. So in order to get that photo in the first place, I crossed this narrow ridge that was maybe like half a meter wide, and I walked over it. And then when it was time for me to come back across the ridge, it was still 0.5 meters. But at this point, there was a bunch of snow on top of it, maybe like 3 to 4 inches, because for some reason on top of a mountain, like snow piles up really fast. And so I could not walk across that. I couldn't walk across that ridge because I would have fell on the left or right side, because on either side there was like a few 100-meter drop, and I was not going to risk that. So my plan was to just go on all fours and then just crawl across the ridge just to be safe. But the problem was the snow got so bad that I had no idea where I was. Like I had no idea where the ridge was where I came from. All my footsteps were covered in snow. And so, I couldn't see where I came from. I couldn't see where I was supposed to go. And like I couldn't see my cousin either, because at the time, he was about maybe 6 or 7 meters away from me. And I could see him for a little bit, and then the snow got really bad, then I couldn't see him. So I had no idea where to go. So I called out to him, like I yelled his name, and then he yelled out back to me, and then I heard his voice. And just based purely on his voice, I went in that direction. And eventually I came to that 0.5 meter ridge that was about a couple meters long, and I crawled across it. And then when I was like maybe 2 or 3 meters away from my cousin, I eventually saw him. And then I was like, holy shit, man, like we almost fucking died. Like I almost died. Like I had no idea where to go. And thank God you were close to me, because if I didn't scream out to you and you didn't reach out back to me, I wouldn't have known where to go. Like I wouldn't have known, go backwards, go left, right, go forward. Like no idea. Like it was that disorienting. And because the snow was really bad, um, it got really cold all of a sudden. Like I checked my phone at one point, and I have this temperature reading device on my phone that shows like the temperatures in the local area, and the temperature was like -22. So -22 Celsius, which is extremely cold. And we didn't bring our gloves because when we checked the forecast, it was sunny outside. So I was basically without gloves for like about half an hour in -22 weather. And it was really bad. Like I couldn't feel my fingers after 20 minutes. Um, right. So it was really bad. And, eventually from that point, we got back down. Um, I think elevation wise, from the peak, we were down about 150 meters. And that's when the snow kind of started to go away and the sun started to come out. And so that's when it started to get warmer. And I kept telling my cousin, I was like, we can't talk, we can't do anything. All we have to do is just get to the bottom of this fucking mountain and get the hell out of here, because it got so bad that I genuinely started to cry, like as I met my cousin and as we were initially going down from the peak. It was so bad that like I genuinely thought we were gonna die. And if you've ever experienced what it feels like to, almost die, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a surreal experience, because in our day-to-day lives, we're so comfortable. We could just go everywhere in our cars, and we sit in comfy couches and we sleep on like these huge mattresses, and everything is so comfy. But then when you finally face an actual situation where you might die, like it's just a different feeling that I can't even describe. And I teared up a little bit. So that was quite the experience. Um, but yeah, then we got down to the mountain. We just made our way down slowly. It took us about, I think, a couple hours to come back down. It wasn't too bad because going up it took us like 3 hours. So yeah, we get back down, and of course, when we get back to the car after the hike, it's all sunny outside and it's like plus 15, and my cousin and I are just looking at each other like, what the hell? Because we timed the hike so badly that it was sunny and nice, and then right when we get to the very top, that's when it becomes, that's when the weather turns to shit, and there's a huge blizzard that comes out of nowhere. So, anyways, yeah, when I was hiking Wasuch Peak in 2022, my cousin and I's luck was really bad because at the top there was a massive blizzard, and I almost died. I almost got frostbite. So yeah, that's that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. Peace out.